everybody, and welcome to Kingdom Compass TV, the show where we talk about shows episode by episode, week by week, for our enjoyment and yours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffey D-Pad, and with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. We got ourselves a new show. Kind of.
I don't own a compass, but I love TV, so let's just see how this goes.
Of course, folks, this is a brand new kind of show. It is our weekly show. We are still doing it. It is the same thing we have always done, where we talk about shows episode by episode, breaking them down, or well, more like release by release. But
we want to make it easier for you to find us, and having a 6-character name was difficult to do. So, yeah. Kingdom Compass. We are here. We're happy to be with you. We're happy you're here with us. Let's hang out, have a good time, and talk about something really neat.
Also, you know, it's nice now to have a name that when you Google it, doesn't just take you to Disney+.
Yeah, that probably wasn't a good call.
Yeah, hindsight really is 2020 on that one.
You live, you learn, you rebrand. It's fine. We're here. Let's talk about win or lose.
It's going to be awesome, folks. It is, like I said, our weekly show, and we're using it as an opportunity to talk about new stuff, but also going back and talking about some of the stuff we have missed. One of those big things we've missed that we have talked about wanting to do for so long at this point is Win or Lose. Pixar's original series that they made for Disney+. And so we are finally going through that episode by episode. All 8, I think, episodes?
8, yes.
So
8-episode miniseries.
So please join us for the ride on this one as we get through it. Of course, there are other things. The entire YouTube channel, the entire podcast has been rebranded to Kingdom Compass. There is a full video about it on our YouTube channel. Please check that out. It explains everything really well.
I definitely recorded something for Griffin to put in that I didn't forget about until right this second, and we'll definitely get for him right after we record this.
We have that. We have the regular show where we currently have our episode up right now about Eyes of Wakanda. We are going to be doing so much more fun stuff with this now.
Should I watch Alien Earth and we talk about that at some point? I don't know. We'll see.
I haven't watched episode 1 yet, so we will see.
I've never seen the Alien movies. We talked about this when we were talking about Predator.
Oh yeah, because I was telling you about Alien Romulus.
King of Monsters or whatever that one was called.
Hunter of Hunters.
Hunter of Hunters. Yeah, I was close. I've never seen. I started Prey. I didn't finish it. And I've never seen any of the Alien movies other than Alien vs. Predator. So should I go in blind and watch Alien Earth and talk about it here? You're going to have to tune in to find out.
I would genuinely tell you if I knew one way or the other, but I genuinely don't. Anyways, we're talking about Win or Lose. Like I said,
we are.
8-episode series this week. We're talking about episode 1, Coach's Kid. The entire vibe of this show is each episode is from another player's perspective going into this massive game. And I think that
another character's perspective, right? It's not just the players.
From what I know. I do know, because I know episode 2 is about the Empire.
Yes.
Okay.
So also for context, we're going into this. I watched the entire show when it dropped back on, and Griffin probably already has that in front of him, and I'm making him look like an idiot. Why can't I find the goddamn release date? February 19th, 2025. Griffin hasn't seen any of this, so I'm going to do whatever I can to not spoil the crap out of this show episode by episode.
Yeah, what was interesting is that they dropped in 2-episode chunks. Obviously, we're doing episode by episode because we're, months late to this thing. But I really like this first episode. This one starring Lori and her dealing with her anxiety around playing, impressing her dad, a divorce. Wasn't expecting that.
It's a Pixar show. You should have expected much worse.
I expect much worse from this show, just from the bits and pieces that I do know of it, and that it still upsets me.
Yeah, there's going to be an episode that you're going to be real upset about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really, really like this episode. I think it really starts well of it introducing what this show is. And it's honestly hilarious. It is perfect Pixar humor, I think, in that regard of, hey, we know what's going to make you laugh in these situations, and we also are going to be incredibly heartwarming and sometimes a little too on the nose for some things.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got the blink and you'll miss it, but semi-gratuitous Luxo Ball and Pizza Planet truck cameo in right away in this first episode, which you love to see that thread of continuity move from Pixar's original films into Pixar's first original television show or series or miniseries, whatever you want to call this. Um, I absolutely love the show. I'm kind of pissed, and I understand why we didn't do it at the time. I had a numbers are hard 3-month-old at home. This dropped on my wife's birthday, so like we were pretty busy when this thing started, so it kind of fell through the cracks. But I love the way that Pixar plays with the personification of stress and insecurities in the form of Sweaty in this episode. And we'll see this as a through line throughout the series, but the way that each of the different we've seen this in trailers and stuff, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything too much for Griffin, but the way that the insecurities of each individual point of view that we go through in this series manifests in a different way is really, really fun. And getting to explore that the creative liberties that provides the Pixar team in terms of how they present their story, how they animate their story, how they continue to innovate in a space where realistically right now I look at animation, it's like Pixar's hitting it, but they're not sticking the landing. It's not connecting with audiences in the way that Pixar used to. And then you see something like K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix connect so deeply with audiences that it's now going from Netflix to a theatrical run for a couple of weeks. And that's insane to me.
Yeah,
but you've got Sony Animation and Pixar as these kind of two like weirdly different places where their animation products are ending up. And it's really strange to see this kind of shift away from people and clamoring towards Pixar the way that we have in the past.
Yeah, I think this came at the tail end, right, of like all of these Pixar movies primarily being Disney Plus for a little bit, and Pixar struggling to get back into the theater, and then they had their hit with it Inside Out too, and then came this. I don't think this show's perfect. I am seeing little nitpicks here and there, and I do think that the issues that have hurt Pixar and Disney just in general are still hitting here. I think a lot of the issues that for Disney in the last 4 or 5 years have come down to executives saying, no, you cannot tell that story with this. And I think we are seeing that here as well. Maybe not as much in a bigger degree in this episode, but once we get to, I think it's Kai's character.
Kai, yeah.
I think it's Kai, once we get into her story,
which really I believe is the penultimate episode of the series, but I could be mistaken.
Wait that long to yell at Disney?
It is the penultimate episode of the series, yes.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about us being able to do this show is that we are able to talk about the positives and the negatives. We are not just a hype cast. We
took Disney out of our name.
Yeah, we certainly go there. We'll have moments like the Fantastic Four episode where we are in love with a project. But this is, I think, one of the
even thinking back for Pixar, like I loved Turning Red. Like that is one of my favorite films of all time at this point, right? And that came during that period where Pixar wasn't really vibing, wasn't connecting with audiences the way they had in the past. But for me, it connected, but it didn't connect in a way that, well, one, that dropped during COVID, and that was a Disney Plus release, and eventually they did a theatrical run or whatever. But it didn't connect or resonate in people the way that previous projects had. So they're in a very strange place right now, Disney and then Pixar specifically.
Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, if Disney just trusted their fucking storytellers and let them tell these stories that they want to tell and not get in the way with copious corporate bullshit, we would have significantly better products from them.
Yeah. And I do worry, like... Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, I do worry, like, looking at the upcoming slate of Pixar films, 3 of the 5 are sequels.
I mean,
with films in the Toy Story, Incredibles, and Coco franchises.
Yeah, well, that has been Pixar's DNA for longer than just this. Pixar has always been able to we try to put out 2 or 3 movies a year. Which is insane, by the way. It is insane to be able to do that. And they do deserve their props for being able to do that. But still, bringing it back to this episode. And not just our many issues with Disney at the moment.
Well, I mean, the other thing too. Again, I made that comparison between Pixar and Sony Animation. Like, they've also got a couple of movies out this year. One that, that was a movie. I thought that was a. Oh, I might watch that at some point, but not necessarily from the same studio. Like Sony Pictures Imageworks, which is the studio known for Spider-Verse, K-pop Demon Hunters, Hotel Transylvania. Like, they're maybe one movie a year in general, right? So the scale that Disney tends to churn out content is incredibly impressive, especially when you look at Pixar.
Yeah, what's interesting with Sony Animation though is that they also, I guess Imageworks themselves typically do about one a year, but Sony Pictures Animation also works with a bunch of other companies. Also, sorry folks for the issue there. I was hitting buttons. But then they also have stuff where it's like Wish Dragon is a Sony Pictures Animation, but that's done by, I think, primarily Titmouse. Or
Titmouse, ILM, Base Effects, and Original Force is what's quoted here that I'm looking at.
Yeah, or they had stuff like the Peter Rabbit movie. Like they're willing, they have all this other stuff. They are more than just a single studio.
They're a studio, but they're also a publisher. Whereas Pixar is this one giant conglomerate studio sort of publisher with the way they fall under the Disney umbrella. But like Pixar does Pixar things,
also,
and it's all internal, Disney, but, and it's very impressive.
Actually, I think it might have passed, but so I'm just going to shame people for who haven't gone. But it's not Disney. But if you haven't gone to see K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters, shame on you. That is all.
Look, it's hard to get out when you have a kid. I'm at the point where I just need to convince Carmen, who is behind me doing her thing, to watch it on Netflix because I think she'll really like it.
I think she'd love it, honestly.
K-pop Demon Hunters. The song, Golden came on the radio today. It's great. We should watch it. Griffin said watch it. Okay. Then she said, okay. If I say it, yeah,
I do
sure.
love that
Griffin says watch it. She said, yeah. Perfect. That's all it takes. Griffin recommends me owning more video games, too.
Finish Epic Mickey. Bringing it back.
It's on the list. I've got a couple of weeks away. I want to finish the Pokemon DLC again, and then it's there. That's the next one.
Fair. Bringing it back. I love Sweaty.
Sweaty's the best.
So much fun. I love this stupid little character.
Well, because we've all had a sweat. Like, it's so relatable. We've all had a Sweaty at some point in our lives, right? Like, this manifestation, of... Like, we all had imaginary friends as kids, and in this case, that imaginary friend is a dick.
Mm-hmm. Anxiety be like that. Anxiety is the imaginary friend that you hate and cannot get rid of.
Exactly. It's like that
like
kid who picked his nose in the back of the bus. He's always just going to be there. You can't avoid it.
There's a couple of sweaty moments with Sweaty that just had me, like, dying. There's a point where it's like they're all like hanging out after the game, and Sweaty's just kind of chilling there in the grass. But the one that really killed me is when Sweaty knocks on the door with literal baggage.
Yeah, you're not getting rid of me that easy. I'm moving in.
Yeah, like it was such a fun and genuinely hilarious way to depict anxiety that I think is really good. It is that Pixar charm of let's take an incredibly heavy topic, break it down, and have fun with it in a way that both kids and adults will understand.
Yeah, that is the Pixar magic, right? It's content created that kids can laugh at and adults can connect with.
Yeah, I really loved that. And I love where this goes with it of Kai finally, or it's not Kai, Lori finally having this moment where it seems like, oh, she is training, she has people in her camp as well, though, and I think that was the kind of point I want to get to, is with Kai being like, no, you're fine. Baseball is just baseball, it works in a very weird way.
Softball. Come on, get it right. Different game.
Right, like it totally doesn't operate in the exact same way.
It doesn't. One of them hurt my knee, the other one didn't.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it is.
But it's like Kai is always in Lori's camp the entire way through. So is her dad. Her dad is trying to be in her camp as well. Her mom cares. Her brother doesn't give a shit. But that's siblings for you.
I will say, I think, I mean, I don't know how far you've gone ahead in looking at the episodes and when we're planning what, but knowing that the last episode focuses on her dad, like he's going through his own shit right now with going through a divorce. So the fact that he can be as present for her, even though she might not, and again, this show does such a great job of playing with perspectives, right? Because there's that moment where he's really like he's tending to Kai. Kai gets hurt. They like when she's helping Lori train, and Lori takes that personally as, oh, he's really upset with me. I'm in a lot of trouble, but he's still doing what he can. But he's looking out for all of the kids, and ultimately, like, yeah, you done goofed, but you're still my kid, and like that comes through for the parents in the room. But for Lori and the way that she took that, and again, perspective here, it's so interesting to watch this show as you go through the other episodes of like that perspective shifts and it's different depending on whose perspective we are embodying as the audience. And I think this is the Pixar magic at its finest. And it's the best I can say it's been probably since. I mean, Turning Red was really good, but it was also like best original story to get into this sort of thing since Turning Red, for me at least.
Yeah, that's fair. I really like this, and I like seeing as well. Like, obviously, I really resonate with Lori's story and whatnot. With that, I really love that. But also seeing kind of the hints and stuff around some of these other stories, like clearly Kai has a story going on here, and we know that she gets an episode and whatnot. But also, like, we have the moment before the game, and you see all of these different people going through their own shit. And it's like, oh, this is that scene that we were going to keep coming back to.
Yeah, you've got that final scene where like the is kind of distraught. You've got the scene at the beginning with Ewan with the whole, oh, I have a crush on so and so or whatever, and like all of these little threads that start. And it's nice coming back and watching this from the beginning a second time of all these threads that they start to plant and the way that it's presented and how it will change as the series progresses is really, really interesting. Of like, we might not get to Kai's story until episode 7, but every little thing that is leading into Kai's story is hinted at in little bits and pieces throughout the first 6 episodes, and it changes depending on whose perspective we're focused on, which I think is really, really difficult to do right. And I think at least in this first episode, and I think as we go and revisit the series, or you visit it for the first time, we'll see more and more of Pixar just nailing it each and every time.
So stick with me here on this one because it's a very Griffin analogy to be making here. But a lot of why I'm really liking this series from the first episode is a lot of the same reason I like stuff like D&D and video games and whatnot. Because there is an incredibly fleshed out world here. And I think that is one of Pixar's greatest strengths. Is that even when there are some of their movies that are subpar, even stuff like Lightyear, there is still a fully fleshed out world here that is fascinating. And what's interesting to me here is that this is a very normal world by Pixar standards.
Yeah.
And it's what, 22-minute episodes? Or around 25?
It varies, I think. Let me go back here. I'm not going to find it very quickly, so you just continue.
Yeah, 22. Runtime, at least according to Wikipedia, is 22 to 33. So we'll just say 30-minute episodes. Like, to have that amount of detail and interest and character building and world building for what is essentially just a kid's softball game, like, is very, very impressive to me. And it is what I think modern day Pixar magic looks like. I think Pixar magic has to look different now than it used to. Pixar can no longer just get away with these gorgeous movies that are appealing to both adults and kids. Everybody is doing that now. So where Pixar really has the strength in world building, I think that they should be using more of that, and I love seeing that within this show.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to some of the products we've seen the last few years. Things like Onward, Soul, Turning Red have told Luca have told such human down to earth stories with a fantasy twist. I think going back into the history of Pixar, a lot of it was fantastic stories, like fantasy stories. I mean, like looking at the world of Cars, the world of Toy Story, the things that have resonated over time have been sort of outlandish. But the last few years, they've been really leaning into some of these more grounded stories, albeit with their own, their own MacGuffin, whatever it might be, that turns things on its head. But like, I'm totally in agreement with you. Like that, the human element of the way Pixar tells stories is what sets them apart. So doubling down on that as opposed to doubling down on sequels, I hope is where we get with a future slate of Pixar films. And I'm really bad about this. I kept saying I need to go see Elio in theaters. I need to support original stories from Pixar. I didn't get a chance to do that, with family commitments, and that's why we haven't recorded our episode yet. And I cannot wait to get to that probably sometime in September, because that is a film that is telling, from what I can tell in the promotional material, another very human, relatable story, although it takes you into space. And I hope we see more of that from upcoming original films like Hoppers and Gato. And by extension, we also see elements of that in the Toy Story, Incredibles, and Coco sequels that we're getting. But out of those three, I only enjoyed the last movie of one of those. So it could be a challenge.
I mean, if anything, it just gives you a possibility to like it again. I think,
And I really hope so. I really hope I do. And what the story that they're teasing with Toy Story is something that I can vibe with, and I think you and I can both relate to with
I'm really excited for that story.
The tech focus on it. It's going to be a very, very timely story when that drops next year.
I want more animation studios to make anti-AI art.
Yeah,
that's it. That's a statement.
That's a very good statement to make.
And I think, honestly, some of the other stuff I am excited for. I'm curious into seeing how they'll go back into Coco and Incredibles. And I'm actually very excited for Hoppers. Hoppers is their new.
I know very little about Hoppers, which is what makes me most excited for it.
Yeah, there's a trailer. You can watch it. We never reacted to it, but
I don't want to watch it. Honestly, at this point, I trust Pixar storytelling to this point where I'm just looking at that date of March 6th. I'm like, all right, is that going to be a thing that Carmen and I can go see, get a babysitter? Is that something that I can sneak away like an afternoon from work and not sneak away, like take paid time off so that I don't get in shit? But like, do I sneak out in the middle of the afternoon and see that while Carmen's at work, going to daycare? Like, definitely a lot more hoops to jump through to see these films, and I definitely need to figure out a plan of attack, especially knowing these dates so far ahead of time.
The one last thing I'll say here, and then we can wrap up this episode, is I really liked it, the Pixar doing TV stuff. Obviously, I don't know how much more of it we will particularly see. Return on investment, especially for streaming stuff, is very different now. But this isn't the only stuff they do. They also had Cars on the Road, which was awesome. They had Doug Days, which we adore.
Absolutely.
And then they also did Monsters at Work, which we enjoyed. And they're doing a new Cars series for Disney Junior next year, or in 2 years. I do think that they can find their avenues to do TV. Continue TV.
I mean,
and I hope we see more.
Forky Asks a Question is still one of the greatest things that Disney has produced on Disney Plus.
Yeah, they are really fun, and I think that Pixar magic translates incredibly well.
Did we ever finish? We never talked about Cars on the Road, did we?
No, we never did.
Because I never finished that show. I'm now realizing.
Oh, you've got to finish it. It's really good.
I know I do. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Anyways, folks, I feel like we barely talked about the episode this week, but that's okay. That's what this show is.
We love this episode. I'm excited to see Griffin's reaction to the rest of it. Could we have probably done it all in one episode? Sure. But we're going to break this out and get to have these bite-sized conversations between the two of us and with all of you. And we'd love to hear what you think about this show in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, please let us know. Please let us know what shows you'd like us to talk about. We're going to do it. We're going to do things. We're happy to do it. So please let us know in the comments.
We might do some things that aren't on Disney Plus. Hulu's under that umbrella. We've talked about some Hulu things. We could go dive head deep into that. You want to do the state of Sony computer animation? We can talk about the Mitchells versus the Machines, one of my favorite movies of all time. I am game for that. I guess also K-pop Demon Hunters, but mostly the first one. Mostly
just K-pop Demon Hunters. Just K-pop Demon Hunters episode.
You could probably find 17 people to join us to talk about that. So yeah, we're gonna get wild here, folks.
On that episode, but we're not gonna do that because it doesn't.
Is it Cam?
It is. Cam.
I feel like Cam would. I feel like Cam would be good for that. Yeah.
Anyways, folks, check out our next episode. Check out our other stuff. Please, again, if you're interested in our rebrand at all, check out that video on our YouTube channel. Just search for Kingdom Compass. We will see y'all in the next video, but until then, be good to each other and have a magical day.